All right, today is Tuesday, the 10th of May. As always, I've got a folder out there on the P drive with today's date on it that you can copy if you so desire, and copy it over to either your H drive or the virtual desktop. All right, I found a series of articles in here, and the 00 one isn't with them, but these are all from Web Code Geeks, which I thought the articles were pretty good. They're on Angular. First baby steps with Angular, why Angular is not only for single-page web apps, some stuff on directives, and more stuff on providers, services, and factories. So you can look at that if you so have a desire. I also found this while I was out looking for something else, and I'm going to show you this, and I'm going to actually come into here and show it to you like this. I found this site, which looks a little goofy, from here. It's called yeoman.io, and they've got a project in here that says, let's scaffold a web app with Yeoman. All right, and you can see it's broken down into about 10 parts. And part 6, they come in, they do our old to-do list. All right, and I thought, well, that's kind of a neat example to do for Angular. So what I did was I went in here, and there's a thing that's called to-do, and I just grabbed a to-do list that was out there and made a bunch of changes to it. All right, so I'm probably only going to, this take about 10 or 15 minutes at the most. All right, and Dennis is on his way here. All right, so if we look at this, here's an example with what I did here was to take everything that we had and put it all in the same file. So you can see it's around 40 lines. So not only do we have our typical type of HTML in here, but we also have, there's our NG or Angular app directive. There's our controller directive. All right. Here, this says when we submit the form called to do add. What I want you to understand about what's in here is what these directives mean. This means that right here, we're going to refer, everything that we do is basically going to be in my app. That's the name of our module. That's the name of this project. And modules contain controllers. The name of the controller is to do CTRL. Some people abbreviate it CTRL. Some other people actually would have written here to do controller. Doesn't really matter one way or the other. All right. Again, this says we're going to have a very simple form. Literally, all that it's going to have on it is going to be a text box, all right? And it'll basically say add new, and it'll have a submit button that says add new. That should make sense for all of you looking at it. But it says in here what we're modeling, the text that we're putting into that text box. So what we're modeling is called to do input. All right, so that's going to be every item that we put into our input list is going to be put in there. All right, what this does right here is basically this is going to print out our to-do list for us. So you can see it's inside of a loop. It's going all the way through, and it's going to print out everything that's in there. All right. So this was the form, and outside of the form, we're also going to have another button that's basically the text on it says remove marked. And if we click that button, we're going to call remove. So in other words, we're going to call to do add if we want to add a task, and we're going to call remove when we want to remove a task. That should make sense to everybody because it pretty much are the kind of words that you'd use. All right. So remember, this is how you set up your app in there. So we say var app, and we could have called it anything, equals angular.module. This my app right here has to be the exact same thing as the my app right there. They have to be the same name. They have to be the same caseness. All right. This brackets means, these empty brackets means that there are no other files that this program needs. If there were helper files or whatever, we'd put them in there. All right. So here's our controller. As you can see, this controller right there, it starts here, and you can see where it ends, which is basically at the bottom. All right. Now, right here, what this says is when we initially create our to-do list, we will have one item inside of it that says clean house. And it's not done yet, so our done is equal to false. there's going to be a checkbox next to each to-do list item. If you set the to-do list item to false, that means it's not checked. If you set it to true, it's checked. All right? So here's the add, and here's the remove. And pretty much it's what you think it would be. It basically says, okay, what we want to do is this to-do list, we're treating it like an array, and we're just going to push it on so it becomes the next element. And by default, whatever input we put in, it's not done yet, which would make sense because we just added it to our to-do list. If we just added it to the to-do list, it wouldn't be done yet. All right? And then this one, literally what the remove function does is it says, okay, grab our to-do list, grab the entire list, and put it into a variable called old list. Then iterate our way through the list and check and see if any of the things that are in there have a check mark. And if they have a check mark, that means they're done. So remove them. There is nothing in here as far as doing any kind of validation or anything else. And you'll see that in a second. So when I launch this, all right, not much in it, not very pretty. There's no CSS with it. Notice I can do this. That's really a mistake when you think about it. All right? And I can go and grab all of them at the same time. And I can click remove marked, and they're all gone. Now, one thing I did not do on here that I probably should have done was right now, since there's nothing in here, I probably should have taken that button that says remove marked and disabled it. Grayed it out. I handle it a different way, and you'll see that in here. There's 3 iterations of this. This is the first iteration. But what's happening in there? Does that make sense to people? All right? So if we look at the next example, I'll just leave that one there. What I did in the next example here, number 2, with no CSS, is literally I did 2 things. First, let's open this. I'll just do it this way. That's fine. There, I'll open that, and then I'll also open this. Basically, what I did, you can hopefully see how much cleaner it looks. I took the JavaScript out, and I put it in its own file. So as it says here, there is JavaScript, but there's still no external CSS added. All right? Now, remember this stuff? Remember all that junk that we talked about with HTML5? All right? If I want to make sure that you put something into a field in HTML5, what do I put there? Required. And that's what I ended up putting in for the last one that you'll see in just a minute. All right? But the point is, when you look at this, it looks exactly the same as the other one, except the other one said My To-Do List version 1. This says My To-Do List version 2. Other than that, it's the same thing. I can still, come on, allow block content, yes. I can still come in here and add when I shouldn't be able to add. All right, I can still go and highlight all of them. And that button, still will allow me to click it when it shouldn't. All right. So what I decided to do for the last one was to try to put some smarts into it. All right. So if you look at the very last example that's in here, it says with CSS and JS. All right. So I'll show you that. And I'll show you that. And I'll show you that. This is the easiest one because there's not much in here. I made the background kind of purplish, and I made the text color white. That's it for the CSS. But what I did was I came in here now, and I said that field is required. And because that field is required, now in here, when I come in and I try to do an add, if there's nothing at all in there, and I click the Add Task button, it doesn't work. All right? The other thing that I did was I came in here, and hopefully let me move this up a little bit. Hopefully what's right there makes sense to you. If the to-do list is like an array, And if the length is equal to 0, there's nothing in the array. Okay? So I put up an alert that says the list is empty, there's nothing to remove. Makes sense, right? The problem is I had to put this in this function, in the remove, I had to put it at the bottom. When I put it at the top, it didn't work. I couldn't get it to work. I jacked with it for a while, but I couldn't get it to work. So I put it in the bottom and it worked fine. The bad thing is, by the time it runs this, it's already been removed. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I'll show you this, because this is the same as the last one, except the word required. But when I run this, you'll notice it's prettier now. Well, maybe not. But if I click add new, all right, there's the HTML5 required kicking in. And if I come in here and I say, take a shower, it adds it, all right? And I can remove that, but notice when I click this one and I click remove, I get the message. That's kind of bad. That's very amateurish, but I couldn't fix it any other way, all right? So again, what I probably should have done was let you remove it and then go on in and checked out how to take the remove mark entries and disable that button. That would have been a cleaner way to do it. All right. So like I said, that was just very short, but I wanted to show you that. Juan, you came in a little late, just so you know there's a folder out there, as always, with today's date on it. All right. So again, please remember that a week from Thursday, all right, I do have at least, I know there's going to be at least 3 professional people coming here. There's a gentleman who owns a web design company in Beloit. He's going to be here. In fact, he's bringing his wife. They kind of, I think they co-own the company. They're going to be here. Steve Zimmerman from Prent is going to be here. A guy named Jason, I can't remember his last name, Sack it might be. He's from Foremost Media. All right. He's going to be here. I should ask you who it is.
Aaron, I think.
Could be. All right. You say so.
Last name sounds right.
Okay. Aaron. Okay, then Aaron. All right. He's going to be here. And I know that a couple of the VPs have said they're going to stop in from Blackhawk. And the first-year students have asked if they can come because they want to see what they'll be doing a week from now. All right. But as always, a lot of times what happened last year was I had firm commitments. There were going to be about 35 people in here. When all was said and done, including the students, there were like 20. So I'm guessing that's probably what it's going to be. All right, and if anybody who's not here today watches these tapes, and I'm not going to mention names, if you're not here, I'm going to send one more email out to all of you. But there are several people who are in this class, who are in this program, some of whom have told me that they plan on graduating a week from Saturday. None of you in here, I don't mean to be singling you out, but what I'm saying is some of those people, and you know who they are, we haven't seen for a while. All right? They have to come. They have to turn in their work. I'm willing to give incompletes, but if they get incompletes, they're not going to graduate. Or if they go through the line or whatever, they're not going to get their diploma until those incompletes have been cleared up. All right? Everybody's got a different situation. Again, I'm not mentioning any names. All right? So, again, last time, if you need anything, if you need help putting anything on Site 5, John will be glad to assist you. All right? If you need to load anything on this machine, Tuesday of next week, you can come in here and do that if you want to do that. If you want to come in and just bring up your stuff on here and see what it looks like, because I've got a narrower screen than you do. All right? So if you want to see what it looks like, yeah, there were a few people last year. Ask Laura. She was very surprised at how her project looked. It's not the way it looks on my machine. Yeah, it's because mine is narrower because I've found out that with keeping it narrower like I have it, so you don't know it, but I've got about that much space on each side that's just black on my machine. But I do that because the orientation is better for when I tape. When I've tried stretching it out, it looks a little bit distorted. All right, it's kind of foggy, whatever you'd want to call it. So that's the reason I've been doing it like this. But you're welcome to come on here and do whatever. If you want to bring your own machine and hook it up, that's okay. If you want to bring a Mac and hook it up, we should be able to accommodate that. All right. If you're going to do that, if you're going to either need a Mac or your own laptop to bring in, let me know. I mean, don't let me know that morning, but let me know. All right, we can make sure we've got your machine here, but if we need extra cords or anything, all right, I'll try to talk with Sean from IT and make sure that we have those. All right. Any questions? And I know for some of you, I'm sorry about this. I know for some of you that being here on Thursday is a hardship because of your employment. I'm only asking you to do it once. All right? And that's the best I can offer you. I can't bring these people in on Tuesday and then ask them to come back in again on Thursday. That just doesn't work. All right? And it's going to be in here, regardless. If we have 50 people, it's still going to be in here. All right? Now, Luke's walking in. No one tell him what we talked about. All right. Any questions? Yeah, Luke said, can you repeat that? No. All right. All right, that's all I got then.